Countless people associate a robust mental game with peak performance. You've heard it before, right? Success is 90% mental and 10% physical. And that phrase really echoes throughout the entirety of the world of sports, but I've really never understood this. If it's so dang vital, then why is it that most athletes don't even get a real chance to work on their mental skills until they're in college or even at the pro level? And that's not even taking into account the hundreds of thousands of athletes just like me who don't really get the experience of mental training because they bowed out of sport early due to the mental barriers that they didn't know how to handle. I'll talk to you a little bit more about that in a second. And furthermore, right? The team supporting these athletes and the parents, the guardians, the coaches are often left in the dark about how they can really assist or help and with those wrestling with their mental game, grappling with the elements such as activation control, focus, self-talk, imagery, routines. So let's get this straight. Mental skills training is accessible to athletes after core thinking habits, routines, and the big parts of the athlete identity are already built. If they get there in an athletic environment that essentially leaves their mental conditioning up to chance, well, that makes absolutely no sense to me. And that's why I personally made it my life's mission to provide access to the best that applied sports psych has to offer to help athletes 13 to 19, the parents of those athletes, and the coaches optimize their performance potential in sports, school, and life through mental performance training.
For me, it's always nice to have something concrete, something to look at, something to hold, something to make me feel stable.
As today, we have the privilege of hearing from Nate last.
Now, I have to tell you a story. I had all of the potential in the world. I was given a set of golf clubs when I was 5, and the game became my domain, my confidence, until I turned 13 when the nightmare really began. The damning nature of my self-talk, the vivid imagery of failure playing on repeat over and over again, and the anxiety of letdown, of shame that I perceived from my parents and my grandparents, that lived in my heart. And it turned the game I loved into complete despair. At 15 years old, in a high school state championship that I was playing with my high school, I was number 2 for my team. I played 6 holes and then I walked off that course to never compete again. I effectively quit. 6 years later, after more turmoil, but in the sport of lacrosse this time, and at the collegiate level, I learned about sports psychology and became completely obsessed with knowing that there was actually an answer to this head game that I was struggling with. The head game that got so bad that it not only made athletics suck, but also my chosen life path at the time. And I had to ask myself, what if I had had this stuff as a kid? How much better of an experience would I have had? And moreover, what if my parents knew? What if they could have done something for me when I was in turmoil? And that's when my mission really began to form. But I needed to get some experience first.
I've been working with Coach Last for, I'd say, 7-8 years, and to say the impact that I've been able to experience from Coach Last is almost hard to put into words.
Nate Last will translate those experiences into relatable and digestible action items, showing you the so what and the now what behind mental strength.
Now, after 5 years in the field specializing with teen athletes, I began to sense a growing problem. The performance issues that plague so many of the athletes that I was working with not only stem from the athlete's skill sets, but also from their parents, and the parents had no idea. And that's why the foundation of mental skills training really is awareness. For athletes, awareness of the capabilities they have access to and how to develop those skills in order to execute on those capabilities they have. For parents, awareness of the influence that they have, and more importantly, how they can be deliberate and intentional about generating an environment that maximizes their growth in and out of the sporting arena. Now, you won't find this material anywhere else because I've developed it after combining a decade's worth of work between youth sports psychology and executive training, obsessed with how to bring the most out of aspirational athletes and their families. Now, the entire Mental Grip program runs on a framework that I designed for some of the most elite athletic programs on the planet, and just like everyone else, I was so tired of seeing young athletes walk away from something that they love. I was tired of seeing parents in their cars in turmoil over how to help an athlete after a bad loss or a bad run of plays. In the world of mental performance, there's this concept called the flywheel and the doom loop. Now listen to this here, right? A psychological flywheel is carried with momentum of beneficial thinking and behaviors, and when a person is able to get their psychological flywheel rolling, their full potential can be brought to reality, and I think y'all have been there before. and senior athletes there as well. And let's be honest, if that momentum is stopped and reversed, the momentum of a doom loop is what we call it, and that's going to be draining your capacity significantly. And if you've ever found yourself or seen your athlete in that doom loop, something has gone terribly wrong. And essentially, I just want my clients to have complete control over the strings that spin up their flywheel to power through any challenges that they may find themselves in. To do that, everything had to be reinvented from the traditional model of sports psychology. The Mental Grip platform opens up a completely different world that most people don't even know exist. The mind holds the key to unlocking performance potential for athletes and parents, and I have made it my life's mission to turn that key.